Welcome. Hi. Hello, listeners. Welcome to Worlds Collide, the podcast about moving abroad with me, Viktoria. I am your host. And hey, guess what? Today is the last episode of season 2 of Worlds Collide. So it's the season finale. And even though it is, don't forget to push the follow button or subscribe because Worlds Collide will be back in late summer or early fall, at least when you're in the northern hemisphere. If you're a listener in the southern hemisphere, it will be late winter or early spring. So welcome to this episode with my guest Katie. She's originally from the US, but now she's a digital nomad in Argentina. So listen up closely to find out more of her story and why she ended up, at least for now, in Argentina. Here it is. Here's Katie. So my guest today is Katie. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Victoria. Thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Indeed. So tell me, where are you right now?
I'm in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Oh, you're in Buenos Aires. Okay, cool. I haven't had a podcast episode about Argentina in a while. Yeah, I'm curious, what brought you to Argentina?
So I've been traveling. I've been a digital nomad for like 9 years already, which is wild. So I've lived in a few different places. And to be honest, I just came to Argentina as kind of another stop. But that was in January 2020. The plan was to stay 3 months, and then the pandemic happened, as everybody knows. And I wasn't in Buenos Aires at the time. I was doing a little traveling, so I was up in the northwest of the country in Salta, if anybody's familiar. And what they did in Argentina was they closed all the regional borders and they closed airports. So I was literally stuck up there. Like even the repatriation flights were only leaving from Buenos Aires. So like I literally couldn't even get back to get out. So I was stuck in Salta for 9 months. And then at that point, I had already been in Argentina for a year, and I came back to Buenos Aires finally, and they hadn't opened up the country to anybody coming in, except for Argentines who were still coming back.
Yeah.
But like anybody else couldn't come in, and so it was kind of the perfect time to do a little traveling around Argentina, because there was like hardly any tourists, which is amazing, and there was still the COVID prices and stuff as far as rent and everything. And so by that time I'd been here long enough that I ended up staying, and I left and kind of came back and left and kind of came back, and eventually have decided that I am a little bit tired of digital nomading. While it's amazing, I've gotten tired, and it's time for me to kind of have a little bit of a home base. And so yeah, in total it's already been like 3 years that I've been here, and it's been different, but also like fun and exciting to kind of shift my mindset from digital nomading into really calling a place a home. And yeah, it's been harder than I thought, but also like really cool. There's a lot of really amazing benefits to staying in one place as well.
So I want to ask you first, when you got stuck in that smaller region, did you have like a place to stay?
Yeah, I'd had a shared Airbnb, so I was in like a private room, and then luckily there was one other guy there as well. He's also from the States, and so we ended up it was a big house, which was nice. So we each kind of had our own workspace during the day, and then at night we would chat and hang out and bonded over watching like Tiger King together and kind of all the cliche pandemic things. So luckily I had somebody to kind of like go through that with, in the sense that it was I didn't know where to get my news. My Spanish at that point was only like mediocre, and so it was just, and every day things were changing and stuff, and so yeah, it was kind of nice to just have somebody be like, even if neither of us knew what were going on, it felt comfortable. It felt better having somebody else with you, not knowing what was going on,
Yeah, no, but I was also wondering if you were kind of in a hostel or were you like, so at least you were in an Airbnb where you had like a whole house where it was just
Yeah.
not like, oh God, I'm stuck in this little room. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, no, I feel very, very grateful for that. And also, like, as a digital nomad, I didn't feel like my life changed I mean, obviously, like, I couldn't go outside of the house,
Yeah.
but I've been working online for a long time, so that wasn't a change for me. And I have been connecting with friends from all over the world via, kind of anything digital for a really long
Yeah.
time. So kind of that wasn't a huge change or wasn't a change for me at all.
Mhm.
So really the only adjustment was not going outside, but it was wintertime down here in Argentina as well. And so it was like, for a little bit, it was actually just kind of like a fun excuse to cocoon a bit.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you contacted me, you said you lived also like, and you just said that as well, you lived kind of everywhere in a lot of different places. What was like the motivation behind this?
I studied abroad in Italy when I was in university, and
Uh-huh.
that kind of like made me just fall in love with Italy.
Uh-huh.
And that's very much my happy place. And so I went after I graduated, I went back and nannied and lived in Italy again for another year.
Hmm.
But then I was getting a little bit anxious to kind of do the big city, like Sex and the City life with all of my friends from
Right,
college,
right.
and do that. And so I was getting anxious to get back to the United States to kind of live that life. And it turns
Hmm.
out that that's only happens in like sitcoms and in TV shows and stuff. And
Yeah,
it
okay.
wasn't quite what I was imagining it to be. And I was just feeling a little bit, I don't know. I needed a change. I wasn't really looking for to climb the corporate ladder, and I wasn't wanting to start a family, and I just felt kind of trapped by some of the I don't know what the right word is, sort of the expectations of U.S. culture and kind of the steps that you take. And I just wasn't
Hmm.
kind of feeling like I fit into that, and so I decided
Okay.
to quit my job and move to Thailand. So I taught English in Thailand for a little bit, and
Hmm.
I had a grand plans with that. I was like, oh, I'm gonna, like make my life there, and it was
Okay.
great. I learned a ton of things, but it wasn't quite for me. I just didn't enjoy teaching English. Like it wasn't. I speak English, but that's as far as it goes. I don't have any
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
passion for it, and but along the way, I met some amazing people and started traveling and kind of realized that what I was looking for was a challenge because I just didn't feel challenged in my life back home. And so when you
Hmm.
travel and you're abroad, you're meeting a bunch of different people, you're dealing with different languages and different cultures, and so every little thing that you do is harder. And sometimes that's really frustrating. You're just like, I just need this to be easy. Like all I want to do is like this one little thing,
Uh-huh.
but also like when you do it, it's also like such a big win that you just like feel so proud of yourself. And so those like little highs, I guess, where I
Mhm.
was, yeah, I think that's kind of what I was looking for, is all these different the challenges that traveling and living and being abroad really brought me. And so I kind of decided that I wanted to, no matter what, I wanted to live abroad, and so that brought me back to Italy. It brought me to Australia to live for a while, and to traveling around the world. But ultimately, now I'm here in Argentina for a little while.
Okay. And so what happened then that, I mean, besides COVID, but that you wanted to stay in Argentina?
Um, I think it's a little bit of everything. So I'm in Buenos Aires, in the capital,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just got the city itself has such like great vibes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you get here, and I just feel amazing in the surroundings. There's a great community here, and the culture and the Argentine people are amazing, so that plays a huge role. Um, Part of it is also like I started a business, and so I to do that and travel like at the same time was also like a little bit difficult. And so I was like, I just need a place to stay. Ultimately, I think I would like to end up or I know that I would like to end up in Europe and in Italy. But the bureaucracy is kind of always a thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so yeah, Latin America has been a great place to hang out for a while and hopefully save some money and figure out like long-term plans. But the country itself is just amazing, and like the people and the language, and it's just I have fun here, and there's a great community, and yeah.
What kind of business did you start?
So it's a travel consulting business. So kind of taking my experience from traveling around the world, and I do. So it's not like a travel agency. I don't take any commissions or anything like that. Basically, I do the research for you, and then kind of based on, I personalize each trip. You know, whether you like to hike or foodie or like art or history or anything that you like to do on the trip, I kind of make suggestions based on that. And especially it's for anybody, but especially for people in the U.S. To help make it more accessible and less intimidating to travel internationally and stuff. I help with the cultural stuff, but also just to save people time. You know, people, you're so busy, and to sit down and be like, what to do in, you know, insert any country. And there's just like so much information that you can get on the internet, which is wonderful, but it can also be really overwhelming and take a lot of time. And so I wanted to take that and do that for people, just to make traveling easier and more accessible.
That sounds so nice. You're like a walking lonely planet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
This is awesome. No, that's really cool. I like that idea. I hope it goes really well. That's a really cool idea.
Thank you.
And then, so I had this so many times on the podcast, the digital nomad. And I mean, I kind of know what it is, but can you explain it a little bit more? Because I'm always wondering, like, are you just freelancing, or are you working for a company and you just can be anywhere in the world? Or what did it mean for you?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head in the sense that it's a little bit different, I think, for everybody. But for me personally, at first I was kind of just taking jobs when and where I could get them, like around the world. So like I said, I nannied, I worked in hospitality and did stuff like that in different countries. But eventually I did have a remote job based in the US, and they just kind of let me work from wherever, which is the beauty of technology. And so that was great. Just the only hard thing was time zones. Like I had to work 9 to 5 in either sometimes Chicago time zone, sometimes California time zone.
Okay.
So that made certain destinations a little bit trickier because I didn't want to be working from midnight to like 8 a.m. Local time.
Yes.
But yeah, just kind of being able to work from wherever. But I've talked to a lot of people, and there's all different kinds of stuff. Yeah, a lot of freelance and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Okay, so now you are in Buenos Aires for a while. So how is your Spanish?
It's good. Yeah. And especially during the pandemic, it was a good excuse. Like I didn't have anything else to do, and so I started taking classes online, and that was really helpful because I could survive before, but I started wanting to really have much deeper conversations with people, and because there's a lot of people who speak English, which is great, but then in a group they'll kind of switch back to Spanish, and so I just feel like I was able to connect so much more to people, and sometimes older generations or younger generations. It's fun to be able to like talk to kids, and I just felt like I could go much deeper, and some people's eyes will light up because they're so excited. They're like, oh, like you speak Spanish, and you can go to the movies or whatever. And so I felt like I was able to go much deeper learning Spanish. And it's also fun learning Argentine Spanish because it's different than all the other Spanishes. And so if I go anywhere else and speak Spanish, they're like, where did you learn your Spanish?
Okay, but did you learn especially like Argentine Spanish, or so when you started the classes, or was it I don't know, the standard Spanish? I don't even know what standard Spanish is,
specifically Argentine Spanish.
Oh yeah, okay, so you had the sh and everything.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So what was something that you really appreciated when you got there? Or let's say, I mean, I don't know, because it was COVID. Let's say when you could experience the culture more.
I mean, I think the people really make a huge difference. They're just so nice and they're so open and friendly, and everyone is just, yeah, they want to know about you. They want to talk to you. They
Uh-huh.
want to hear your story, and they're just so everyone's been super super friendly and very laid back and chill,
Yeah.
and so I think that's a huge thing. And that's not to say that people in any other country aren't wonderful people as well,
Yeah,
but it
yeah,
just, yeah, I just kind of I feel the warmth. I feel the warmth, and um yeah, so I think most of the people, but in general, it's just, yeah, it's good vibes. And the country, the whole country itself, like it's such a big country. They've got everything, so you can hop on a plane and go down to the mountains. You can go to the desert. You can go to the jungle. Like they've got everything, and so
yeah.
that's also, I think, really really cool.
Was there anything that was hard for you in the beginning?
I think going anywhere, just adapting to the culture and stuff, no matter where it is. For here, for sure, the meal times are still pretty tough for me because
Okay.
they eat dinner at like 10 o'clock at night, and
Okay, this is where I sleep.
so late for me. It's so late. I'm like, guys, are you sure you want to make the reservation at 10? I'm like trying to go to bed at 10 o'clock,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly.
So that's a little bit tough, and always sometimes just the relationship to time. I mean, as a German, I think you probably
Oh
experience
yeah.
that almost everywhere else in the, in the
It's like
world.
it's a punctual. You have to be on
Yeah.
time. Yes.
So just kind of letting go of control of that. And although has become a bad habit, sometimes I'll go somewhere else, and we say that we're going to meet at a certain time, and then I'll like start thinking about leaving my house at that time, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm not in Argentina anymore. I have to probably be
Okay,
there when I
okay.
say I'm
Right,
going
right,
to be
right.
there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What time do you go to bed then? Or what time do they usually go to bed then? When they make dinner reservations somewhere at 10?
I would say like midnight or 1 in the morning or something. They're not
Mm.
super early risers. And
Okay.
weekends are different, but uh yeah, I don't know. Like I'll talk to my friends who they'll be like, oh yeah, like I went to the gym or did this, and then I got home at like 11 and ate dinner, and then went straight to bed. So sometimes I will just like eat dinner that late and then just like go straight to bed. But
Okay.
even that's tough for me because I don't like to sleep on like a when I'm super super full like that. So just
Right.
adjust, and then sometimes lunch is at like 1 or 2, and then they've got their merienda, like their snack time at like 5 or something. Um, and
Hmm.
so yeah, just kind of adjusting to that if I want to hang out with Argentines, with expats and other people from other countries. Sometimes I'm like, do you want to do dinner at like 8 or 8:30 or something,
Uh-huh.
or even
Yeah.
9 to stretch it? And they're like, yes, that would be great. But
Okay.
you always know you can get a table. Like if you want to go, as long as the restaurant's open, you know that you can get a table if you go at like 7:30 or 8, because no one is gonna be there, and that's
No
kind of
one's gonna.
nice.
I mean, that's like kind of interesting. I mean, I know about that they eat super late, but I mean, at least they're not sleeping hungry. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
But what time do they get up? Is it like still like a whatever, like here 6:30,
It
7
depends.
o'clock?
It depends. Definitely you see more people moving around at like 9, 10 o'clock. It's
Okay.
like, even I was amazed. I think one of the first days I got here, my flight got in really early. A lot of the like long haul flights get in early, and
Hmm.
I was like, oh, I'll just like hang out at a Starbucks or something because I'll be in town at like 6:30 or 7 a.m. And the Starbucks didn't even open until like 8 or 9. And I was like,
Oh,
oh.
interesting.
Okay. And that's kind of like an indication, if you will,
Mm,
of
right.
yeah,
Because there is
of early
nobody on
mornings.
the street because everybody's still in the bed at
Yeah,
8 o'clock.
exactly.
Okay. All right. I mean, must make sense because I think even everybody needs to get their fair share of sleep. If they go to
Yeah.
bed at 1 o'clock, then I mean, even the kids too, right? It's
Yeah. Well, and I think that's interesting. Another thing that I really enjoy is their work-life balance. They have, it's much less there's not necessarily like that hustle and grind culture that I feel in the US. They're they're ready to check out of the office. They work and they do a good job, but they are ready to check out and hang out with their friends and family. And so they'll bring their kids along. So you'll see kids at like bars and restaurants and stuff like later at night. But I think that's nice because, if babysitters can cancel or finding a babysitter or whatever, like they just kind of like weave their lives together with everything. And I think it's actually really nice that they just kind of continue to live their lives and are prioritizing, still being with the kids and having the kids there and stuff. And just a much better work-life balance. It's made me, well, traveling just in general has made me chill out much more.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. Is there something that you get used to? I mean, I was just wondering if there is something that is hard for you to ever get used to.
I don't know, because it is funny. Like even though like I will complain about like the meal times and stuff. I went home to the US and we went to dinner at 6:00 and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like this is like senior citizens or whatever. And so I was like, I must have adjusted more than I thought. I mean, I think no matter what, like my Spanish is good. I can have political debates and stuff like that with people. But still kind of in groups and stuff, I'm always still just kind of like listening really intently and still feel uncomfortable. Like I don't know if that's ever gonna go away. And just feeling a little bit, I mean, yeah, I don't feel Argentine. I don't think I ever will feel Argentine, and not sort of because of any exclusivity thing or anything. Also think just because parts of me are from all over, but I've also just kind of gotten so used to being uncomfortable or kind of living with differences, and it's really nice to go. It's funny because I'll go home to the States and I'll feel super comfortable, but then I'll notice differences where I'm like, oh, I feel different in relation to, for an easy example is the meal times. And then I come back to Argentina and I also feel super comfortable. It's like, it's nice to feel at home in different places. And even though like, it's not the, I don't know, 100% level of comfort. That's not what I wanted. That's exactly why I left the US in the first place. And so I think I kind of like that.
And is there anything that you miss from the US?
Yeah, I miss a lot of stuff, but it like a lot of cultural things. So I miss football, American football.
Okay. I did not expect that.
I miss college sports, and kind of that culture. Some of the food, a lot of the food, like good Mexican food, I really, really miss. And I miss, I don't really like having Christmas in the summertime. I actually hate that.
I understand
so
that,
much.
Yes. But it's funny that you say it, that you miss good Mexican food. I mean, it's kind of close-ish. I mean, there are like still 6 countries in between, but it's still, isn't it still a little bit similar? No.
No. Because Argentines, they hate spice. They hate spice. Like, they cannot handle it very much at all. And yeah, so yeah, it's pretty different. The food is, and also there's just not very many. Most of people who are emigrating from Mexico aren't coming down to Argentina. They're going like up to the States and stuff. And so they're just like there aren't too many, and if they are there, they're fine. But yeah, so there's some stuff, but nothing like you would get up in the US. I was a little bit spoiled with that. Yeah, I do miss really good Mexican
food. Okay, but Argentine food is pretty good too, right?
I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat meat.
So then you already have like your list just right. Right. So you have what, spinach.
Buenos Aires as a city has great options. There's a ton of great restaurants. As far as like actual Argentine food, like the empanadas from up north in Salta, those are incredible, and that has that comes with a little sauce that has a little bit of a kick to it. But yeah, a lot of it's like milanesa is huge, and that's it's sort of like their version of a schnitzel, I suppose, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
thin, breaded, and fried. And yeah, I can't have that. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of stuff is meat based, and so I mean the empanadas are great, and the dulce de leche is great. Otherwise, I'm not eating a ton of local food just because yeah,
Because
I don't need
everything is
it.
meat. I
Yeah,
mean that's what they're famous for, right? For their beef.
yeah, yeah. The
Okay.
wine is amazing though.
Oh yeah, the
So
wine. Yeah.
I drink a lot of Malbec, and I'm very spoiled with that.
Good. Yes. Yes. And what else do you really appreciate?
I would say, well, what I really like is it's kind of a blend of cultures. So it's like Europe and Latin America put together, and I really like that blend. You feel that in the architecture, you feel that in I mean, in the culture. Again, back to the meal times, like
Uh-huh.
Spain does that a lot, but they also do the merienda like Italians do, and there's a lot of Italian influences. They'll even have like some of their words are Italian, like
Mm-hmm.
instead of cerveza, they say birra, which is Italian for beer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really like that kind of mixing of cultures and stuff. But yeah, I think for me the biggest thing is really the work life balance. Oh, they also love lines, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
Like even for like buses and stuff, they'll like everyone makes like even like a really long line.
Uh-huh.
At
Yes.
subways, like everything they line up for and are
That's good
very
behavior.
patient, very chill. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
great. Because you'll go other places and people are just like, elbowing you and trying to get in
Yeah.
first. And Argentines are all just like, no, 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 like, tranqui, it's fine. And yeah, you stand in the line. And even at the grocery store, there'll be like huge lines
Mm-hmm.
and a few of the aisles. And a few aisles that have none, and everyone's just standing in the lines, the aisles that have no lines. I'm like, guys, you don't have to wait in line. I just love
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Okay. And okay, so I want to ask you a different question now. How did you make friends?
So yeah, that's been like a journey. At first, it was there's a great expat community, and so there's some really cool groups and stuff where people are
Mm-hmm.
super involved, and there's really cool activities, and so I leaned into that. There's really cool language exchange event. I don't know if you know Mundo Lingos. It's international, but it started
Mm-hmm.
here in Buenos Aires.
Yeah,
So it's
okay.
like a language exchange. You kind of put the flags of the different languages you speak, like a sticker of the flags of
Mm-hmm.
the different languages you speak, and you can kind of just go and you see someone with a sticker of the flag that you want. And you're like, oh, you speak this language,
Okay.
um, and you just like start talking, which is
Uh-huh.
awesome. And so that's kind of how I started, and then I became a little bit of a lazy introvert during the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic and could not be bothered to kind of
Sure.
expand after that. And then I
Okay.
was I was feeling a bit, and also the hard thing with expat communities is people will come and go a lot,
Yeah,
and so you've like invested in these friendships, and then you know then
sure.
they leave, and
Yeah,
so it can be a little bit like demoralizing after a
yeah,
while, and so I was like, and I just also really wanted to hang out with more locals. I'm here, like
mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's I would love to hang out with more locals, and so but that's also been like a journey. People are they're super super nice, but everyone has a pretty close knit group of friends, and it's
right.
it's tough to kind of like to
Get
get in there.
into.
And so it's just been a lot of me needing to put myself out there and just kind of show up to things. And so um, I found a gym that I go to every day, and even though I don't talk a ton, they invited me to like have an asado and stuff, like a barbecue,
Okay.
which was like really nice. And just yeah, I really don't like contribute that much when I'm there, but because I just put in the time and show up every day, they invited me,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh yeah,
um,
okay.
to get to know people. Then I got to know people much better, like in that environment.
Yeah,
And I joined a co-working space, and so through that, I've again kind of come every day and started to eat lunch with people and get to know
yeah.
people like that. And so now I feel like slowly but surely, I'm expanding my friend group in a few different areas. But yeah, just it's really about, because there's always also like future me has all these like grand plans where like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna go to this event, I'm gonna go to this event and this event, and then the time comes and I'm like, well, I always have the excuse for like, it would cost less money if I just stayed home or like whatever, and I can talk myself in and out of like either situation, and so
Absolutely.
I just have to push myself to do it, and yeah, just kind of be a little bit braver about that, especially in like big groups of Argentines where everyone's speaking rapid Spanish and stuff.
Oh
Just
yes.
kind of just show up and be there. And the nice thing is you're automatically a teeny tiny bit more interesting, like not being from there. Like you at least
Right.
have an opening way to be like, oh, like this is where I'm from. This is like a little bit of my story, and that's an easy in, um, and an easy way to start talking to anybody, honestly. So that's been helpful.
Yeah. Do you ever get tired of the same questions though?
Not really. The only question that I like don't really love is so I was born in Korea and adopted to the States when I
Mm-hmm.
was 3 months old. So I grew up my
Okay.
entire life in the States and am, very like American. And sometimes it's like hard for other people or people who come from more like homogenous countries to
Right.
comprehend. And so I'll say
It's
like,
like, but
oh, I'm
you're
from the States. Yeah, and they'll say like, "Oh, but where are you really from, or where are your parents from, or why is your face like that? Why is it why
Where
do you
is
look
your
so
face?
like?" Sometimes it's just a language barrier, but like, yeah, I've literally gotten that, not from Argentines, but I have gotten that question before.
Okay.
Or
Wow.
and so I know that there's no malintent behind that whatsoever. And sometimes I just answer because I know what they mean. And sometimes I want to have like a little bit of a deeper discussion, but that also puts me a little outside of my comfort zone. And so I don't love that question, even though I know it doesn't come from a bad place at all. It's curiosity, and they're not used
Yeah.
to seeing that. But I think that's really the only question that really I'm just like, here we go again, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, because for me, not at the moment, not so much, but I remember like probably the first 5 years when I was in the US, and everybody asked me, "Hey, so where are you from? Where in Germany are you from?" And I was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" I was like, "Oh my God, everybody asks me the same question every day." And I was like, I never really see the people again. I should just make up any story, just to
I've
keep
thought about
myself
that
into
too.
date. Oh, you did? Yes.
I haven't done that yet, but I've thought about that. I've also thought about that too. I'm like, oh, I could be from anywhere,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
especially somewhere,
exactly.
just sort of like making stuff up. And I've definitely thought about that. I have some friends who have done that before. it's
Oh
yeah, it's
yeah.
fun.
But I mean,
Yeah,
but I am always thinking like that. Karma is a bitch, and if
yeah,
I do this, you will meet that person again. You know?
yeah. I know. I also, yeah, that happened to my friend one time when she really didn't want to go somewhere and she lied about being sick to not go, and then she got sick the next day, and so it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Right.
Um, but it is just such a fun thing, or starting small and just even being from like another place in your case Germany, or in my case like another
Right.
city in the States. Although for me, I can't lie too much about the US because I wouldn't be able to. With my luck, they'd be like, "Oh, I lived there for like a year
Yeah.
doing this and this and this." I'd be like, "Oh, dang it!"
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you never know what the reaction is. I think that's why I also didn't want to do it. Yeah. But I also wanted to add to the friendship problem for expats. I feel also it is harder when you are not working in a place where you go in every day and don't have coworkers. Because I feel like,
Yeah,
especially you have your own business, then you don't have employees, or like even when you have employees, they don't want to hang out with the boss. So I feel this is always a little bit harder.
yeah. I don't think when I worked my kind of office job remotely, I was talking to people throughout the day and stuff, and I didn't feel it as much. And then because I've always worked from home, there's like when I was living in Chicago for a little bit, I was commuting 2 hours each way.
Uh-huh.
And so there was a really long stretch of time where I was so grateful to just have the commute from my bed to my desk,
Yeah.
um, that that uh, that worked really well for me for a while. But recently, especially starting my own business, like I've that is something that I've never felt more alone, and I just don't know who to like bounce things off of. Yeah, there's no one there with you, kind of in it with you. And so having a space where people are all kind of in the same boat. And some people are freelancers, some people own their own business. Like it's a little bit of a mix of everything, but it's been really fun to just have a routine again. That's also something that traveling is awesome, but it is really nice to have a routine and be like, I get up and then I go do this and they do this. I see these people and it's just nice. And there's like birthdays and stuff. So like at the gym this morning, someone brought a cake for their birthday,
Well,
and
nice.
yeah,
Run
it's
off the
fun to
cake again.
have those like treats and stuff like that too. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of benefits to just having people around, and I also like I nap a little bit less. I still do nap at the co-working space,
Okay. Uh-huh.
but yeah, instead of the productive procrastination, where I'm like, oh well, I could like clean clean my house, do my dishes, do my laundry, and I feel like I'm getting stuff done, but I'm not doing any work. Um, it's nice to have the co-working space to kind of hold me accountable for that stuff as well.
Yeah. And I also wanted to ask you another question going back to the start in Buenos Aires. How did you settle in? How did you find an apartment?
So there's Facebook groups here that help a lot. A few times it's been through a connection. Um, the first time I came, I just got like a private room in an Airbnb, but now it's kind of becoming a problem where the Airbnb prices are getting really high and it's pushing out locals and stuff. So I
Okay.
try to go a little bit more local. Yeah, there's Facebook groups that offer that. And I think Argentines usually sign for like 3-year contracts.
Uh-huh.
And so I wasn't willing to
3 years.
commit to, yeah, and you can get out of them.
Mint.
But that's like, and also don't quote me on that because I'm not positive, but I think that's how it works. And I didn't want to commit to that. And so I pay a little bit more, but have shorter contracts that I can kind of keep renewing, and
Uh-huh.
so that's been nice. But yeah, there's Facebook groups and stuff like that that's
Okay.
helpful.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I was just wondering like how you got your foot in the door, how you started.
Yeah, it's about meeting kind of the right people and asking questions because it's hard to know. Like it's hard to know where to do anything. And so get the Facebook communities, because I don't use Facebook a ton, but for all the different groups, I found them to be super helpful. Even if I'm
Mm.
not active, I'll search questions and stuff like that, because there's a lot of people, it turns out there's a lot of people that have the same questions that I do. And in Argentina, especially with money and the economy, there's kind of a lot to keep track of there as well. But even just to know, like one time I had to Google like where to buy dirt. Like I don't know where anything is. I don't know what any of the stores are called where you go to do certain things. Whereas at home I would know exactly where to go to get everything. And I guess I took that for granted for a really long time. And it's nice to just know like, oh, I need this, I'm gonna go here. I need this, I'm gonna go here. Um, and so yeah, that was a kind of a funny struggle, to just know where to go to get anything, especially because I'm also used to the kind of the big box stores in the US where you can go to just like one store and get a lot of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Here it's a bunch of smaller different
Okay,
stores.
sure.
Yeah.
So that is an adjustment. But I also wonder, like, when you are an expat, for example, like in Argentina, are you ever bothered by the politics, the local politics?
Yes. Yes and no, in the sense that like I try to like know what's happening and know what's going on.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm bothered a lot by the politics in my home country as well.
Yeah.
And so I can't like really be too judgmental of
Yeah.
everything. And so the best thing for me is just to have conversations with people and understand because a lot of that stuff doesn't affect me nearly as much as it affects the local people.
Right.
And so it's really humbling to be abroad as well. And so instead of kind of bringing my, being on my high horse and having strong opinions, and I do have thoughts and opinions, but I try to listen more and learn about how it works down here, because it's different. It works very different than it works at home. And there's so many things that I have problems with at home where I'm allowed to vote and make changes and do stuff like that. And so I like to be informed, but I also just kind of like to listen more, instead of complain about something that I can't do anything about. You know what I mean?
Right. No, for me, it's like, I think in the beginning, I did not care about it. It was like, but I guess here it's so extreme at times.
Yeah.
So now I've been here over a decade. So for now, it's like it bothers me that I cannot vote, after a time, because like I feel very strong about certain things. So I kind of want to make my check mark on things, but I can't.
I know.
So this is bothering me. Yeah.
I think I would like to be tapped in sometimes, because I'll see that there are like protests or something, and then it'll be like after the fact, I'm like, oh, it would have been cool to like go to that or something. So even just being an extra body in marches and protests and things like that makes a difference to show support, I would say. But yeah, I know what you mean. Well, especially you being there for so long and really understanding and seeing kind of the polarity and just kind of everything, I can imagine is frustrating. Here I'm still trying to learn and grasp kind of everything that's happening. But yeah, it's been really humbling, because I just was devastated by some of the recent political stuff that happened in the US. But I also, in a kind of a weird way, it was a little comforting to know that like, oh, everyone is kind of like very unhappy with their politics, and everyone kind of goes through, these same feelings and stuff like that. And in that way, I didn't feel alone. Obviously, I would rather it be the other way. We're all together and we're happy with what's happening.
Exactly.
But in a very like weird way, it was like, oh yeah, like, I was talking to people from a bunch of different countries, and like, oh yeah, we've got this guy or this guy or this guy or this guy or
You're right.
whatever.
You're absolutely right. Because I remember last year when I was going home to Germany, and I was like talking to this elderly neighbor that we have, and I was also like whatever rambling about bad stuff that's happening in the US, and he's like, it's not different here. Like whatever, we have all this, this, and this going on. So it's like, oh yeah, sure, it's here as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody's complaining. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I also think it's important to be educated on that stuff, because it's I really like being able to share my point of view and stuff about like politics in the US, like with Argentines, and because some people have, depending on which news channel they watch, or the people that they know, like they've got a very specific view of things, and it's really I feel responsible for being like, oh, like I want to tell you about like my experience in my country and kind of what it's like, and to also be able to relay some stuff about Argentina back to the US, and educate people more about what it's like down here. And so it's cool to kind of spread that information and knowledge, like that people just have like no idea about, and so that I really really enjoy.
Yeah, that's true. And I also, okay, let's change topics. Let's quit politics. So I wanted to ask you how you got a visa, or like what is the visa situation? Do you border hop or?
Yeah, currently I border hop. So I've always been technically legal, but I'm trying to figure out right now how to stay a little bit longer.
Oh, and through that visa, through your business, is that a possibility?
Well, it's a US business, so
Okay.
yeah. And like the digital nomad visa is only for a year, and then I have to figure out something else. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm currently trying to figure out options. Also, my problem is I change my mind a lot
Okay,
about
sure.
a lot
Okay,
of
I
stuff.
know that. Yes.
Uh, so, but it's stressful, and with the new government here, they're cracking down on immigration
Uh-huh.
and stuff. And I always want to make sure to do things right, but they've been pretty lenient up
Mm-hmm.
until pretty recently. And so I just don't want to be stressed out about leaving and coming back, and
Yeah.
having, knock on wood, uh, they like wouldn't let me come back or something. I still had all my
Yeah, yeah,
stuff
yeah.
here. Like
Yeah,
I just like,
exactly.
yeah. And it's hard to do stuff without a DNI, which is sort of like their identification card. So kind of like in the US, you have your
Mm-hmm.
driver's license or state ID that you use as identification.
Yeah.
Um, and so they have their DNI, but there's also like a number attached to it, and you have to use that number for everything.
Everything.
There was a time I tried to pay for something, and they wouldn't let me pay without a DNI, and I was like, I just want to pay you, man. like let me give you money. I couldn't receive a package in the mail without a DNI.
Okay.
There's just
That
like
is.
all this like stuff that it works, like everything kind of goes through their DNI
Mm-hmm.
here, and so it's a little bit tough not having one. They're kind of their version of Amazon. You need to create a DNI to create an account. I was using a friend's
Mm.
account, and then they started you needed facial recognition to like even get
Oh,
in to it, and so I couldn't do
okay.
that anymore. And so I do buy less things now, but
Yeah. Okay.
but
That's good. Yes.
yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's a little bit hard without that, and so just the kind of comfort level, as well as being able to just live my life as a human and
Right,
do
right.
things.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Like, you would want to do this for like some time, but not in whatever for the longer future.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, visa can be so hard, right? To figure out something.
bureaucracy is
Oh,
is frustrating.
yes. And how's
I
bureaucracy in Argentina?
I mean, it's kind of like the bureaucracy everywhere. It's
Mm.
I think the hard part about bureaucracy in general is just you get kind of conflicting information, and there's no one to really ask, and it depends on who you ask and if they're having a good day or a bad day. Uh,
Right, right.
and
Okay,
so
sure.
there's just kind of some inconsistencies sometimes.
Uh-huh.
In general, they're pretty chill, but I've talked to people who I think were having a bad day, or I don't know, they like yelled at me for stuff that I haven't even done, like wrong. One time I was leaving the country legally, but they had decided that I'd been there for too long, and you can't arguing with an immigration officer isn't like the best idea. And so I
Mm,
tried to stand up for myself, but also not like be aggressive or anything like that.
right.
And she made me cry. I waited until after I got stamped out of the country to start crying, but she ripped into me, and I was there legally the entire time. It was during COVID, and so they were extending visas and stuff, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, it was
Oh
tough. So
man.
it really depends, and it's just hard to find consistent places that have consistent information and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I would like to figure it out, because that is the last thing I want to be stressed out about.
Yeah. Yeah. And before we come to an end, also, let's mention your podcast.
Oh yeah, so I have a podcast called Tasty Trails Travel Pod, and it is I talk to people from different countries, and we talk about their food and food memories, and just kind of have a very casual conversation. And through that, we get to know the local cultures and customs and stuff. And so it's been really fun. Even countries that I've visited before, I'm learning a ton of stuff, and there's just really cool, fun, um, like facts about food or stories. And I just think people light up when they have, there's these memories that are connected to it, like cooking with your mom or your grandma,
Uh-huh.
or um, eating your favorite dish or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really fun to hear everybody's individual stories, and how different things can be. And yeah, it's really fun.
Nice. And where can you listen to it?
Anywhere you listen to podcasts. So yeah, Spotify, Apple, all those places.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for sharing this, and I will put this in my show notes, and I will also put your business info in the show notes.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you so much for having me. This is so much fun. This is really
Yeah,
fun.
thanks. So yeah, I guess I have no more questions. You answered all the questions like a champ.
Excellent.
That was fun. Thanks for being on my podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, that was Katie. If you want to check out her podcast, it's called Tasty Trails, and you will find a link to it in the show notes. Definitely give it a listen. There's also an episode with me. And that was the last episode of season 2 of Worlds Collide. And I will be back with more interesting guests soon after the break for season 3. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you will tune in again and won't forget about us. Until then, have a nice summer, have a nice winter, wherever you are. Okay, bye.